Hi everyone, Cleus Glory Young here. So, have you ever heard of this saying, words have power? What about the saying, life and death are in the power of the tongue? Meaning that the words that comes from our mouth has the ability to give us life or to give us death, right? What about this childhood saying growing up where it says, sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Have you ever heard of all three? So at the end of it, right, let's look at the last one. Sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me. This is something that we grew up on, but is it really true? Because today we're looking at a circumstance where generation after generation, there are people who actually took the words that were said to them all the way to their grave. Like literally, they may have been in a circumstance where someone hit them right with a stick or hit them with a stone, and eventually that wore off, right? So you forget about that. But some people literally they hold on to the words that were said to them as a child all the way to their grave. So is that last one that was mentioned, is it really true? Because what I started to look at it today, words have more damaging effect on us than sticks and stones, right? Someone could hit you with a stick and it wears off. Someone could hit you with a stone and it wears off. But someone, if they actually say the right words to you that emotionally impact you, you can hold on to those words until death arrive, right? So I wanted to highlight three words today that has been somewhat detrimental to who we are as human beings, like literally impacting the percentage of the human being of who we are, right? So the first word that I would go to is the word that is used in the academic field. It is the word dunce. So when you're in an academic setting and someone call you dunce, meaning that you're not capable to be what? That regular person in the class. You're actually someone who is way, way, way behind, right? In your academic standards, which at the end of the day, someone who is dunce still has the ability as someone who is brilliant. It's just that the opportunity hasn't presented that person as yet to bring that brilliance out of that person, right? So, somewhat when you use the word dunce in the academic setting, it makes that person feel like a lesser person and they're not worthy to be that brilliant person that they can be. So, that is the first word. The second word is the word sin, which is done through the religious world, right? And when you utilize that world, that person becomes someone who may feel like they're shameful and in that position where they're being scorned by those that are around them, which actually helps you now to become a little bit deficit in who you are. So when you look at the word sin, and I understand the context of it, but when you actually place that and you label someone which you would call them a sinner, it actually degrades the person beyond what the person has done. When you label that person a sinner, it actually automatically degrades the person, and literally that person could now take that word all the way to their grave, right? And then the third word now is now looking at society and saying the word lack, telling someone that they lack something, which is now becoming insufficient to be someone who is capable of doing something powerful in society. So the notion behind that is when you tell someone that they lack something, it's almost like you now put them in an insufficient mode, which is the context of what you would call the word poor. So when you're telling someone that they're poor, you're basically saying that they're lacking certain thing. But the concept behind the word lacking is actually now taking it in the context to say that that person is insufficient to society. So these are words, three words that I actually started to pay attention to, how they have become these three words in three different industries, right? Academic, religious, and then society. When you look at those three words, they actually play out in someone's life where they create a deficit. And it could be generation after generation after generation, right? Because that young child that you tell, hey, you're dunce, like literally that child could take that on for the rest of their life, believing that they're not capable of becoming something great, something brilliant. Same thing when you look at the word sin and you call someone a sinner, like even if the person actually migrated from that act of what they did to be called a sinner, right? Eventually, when you start to now be in a position where you're saying, hey, I'm not a sinner anymore because I made amends and now I'm in that right path of doing whatever I'm doing, when you go into that environment again and then you hear someone else being called a sinner, that's going to reactivate that concept of what you did and brought you back to now that old time that you were doing that thing that was considered you becoming a what? A sinner, right? So when you look at that aspect, that's another word, as I use the word sin, right? And then the last word, as I said, it's the word lack, which is generally highlighted in using the term poor. Listen, no one is literally poor on this earth. Why? Because even the person who is the richest person came from the same possibility as the person that is poor. How do you understand this to be true? Because at the same concept, when you look at it, we're all human beings. We may not be in possession of the same things that everyone has, but we do have the capability that everyone else has. And if you can become someone who is wealthy, right? Wealthy is a position that doesn't come from what you would call poor or poverty or lack. It is something that was always inside of you that you were able to now develop and then create that avenue to become wealthy. And it's the same thing for that person that we say, hey, you're lacking something. The person is not lacking anything. The person has it inside of them. It's just that we haven't found the ways to actually what you would call germinate it out of the person. So at the end of the day, no one is lacking anything. We all have the same substantial value inside of us. Through the what you would call the academic world, right? We create what is called curriculums. Curriculums are things that now extract certain component out of us. So if I create a curriculum around, say, English, it's going to extract the English side out of me. If I create a curriculum around math, right, it's going to extract that math component out of me. Is the English still inside of me? Yes. Is science still inside of me? Yes. Is social study inside of me? Yes. But until I go through that curriculum that could extract these things to come out of me, then they may remain dormant inside of me. So the contingency of what a curriculum is to extract certain things out of a person. So when you go to college, you major in different majors, right? It's not that you're better than the one that's in that major. They just give you a curriculum that's going to extract this out of you. So if you become a what? A lawyer, they just found a curriculum that's going to extract the lawyer out of you. Is someone else capable of becoming a lawyer? Yeah, all they have to do is just go through the same curriculum, right? So when you look at this concept of what three words have really held us down generation after generation, I'm highlighting this because at the end of the day, words have power, all right? Life and death are in the power of the tongue. And if we continue to say these things to people and they internalize it and accept it, then they become those words that we now label them with. So I wanted to share this, and hopefully we can now start to understand that words have power. And as the pandemic is going away, hopefully we can find some words that will now enhance the brilliancy that's inside all of us, the prosperity that's already inside of us. The concept of what is called germination, right? A seed will germinate into something great, but everything was already in the seed. It just had to be provided with the right environment and the right nutritional values to extract now what is inside of it. And it's the same thing for us as human beings. God bless.